This podcast is brought to you with support from Inductive Automation. Discover a whole new perspective on industrial automation with Ignition, packed with innovative features for the modern control system like unlimited licensing, high-powered tags, and mobile-first flexibility in an intuitive, built-in design environment. Ignition supports enterprises of any size or industry. See all Ignition has to offer at inductiveautomation.com. And now you can have all the power of Ignition with convenience of the cloud. They have introduced Ignition Cloud Edition. Makes it easy to add Power of Cloud to your Ignition architecture, extend and hybridize your enterprise operations, leverage elastic architecture that instantly scales up and down, and securely host and deploy solutions on the world's most trusted cloud platforms, all as pay as you go. Also, check out Ignition Edge, not part of the read that they sent me, but some pretty cool stuff going on there. They support OPC, they support MQTT, and I've been to many of the customer conferences at Inductive Automation, talked to customers, and never heard a discouraging word about the product, and they love the pricing. So anyway, this is Gary, typically talking ideas of leadership, manufacturing related, or technology. And today I'm going to begin by reflecting back a little bit when actually, I don't know, I could say my first real job. That's not really true. I had a bunch of jobs in college, but I was out of graduate school looking for something to do and got hired into a junior management role at a manufacturing company. And so I was learning manufacturing operations and some of the basics of things like cost accounting and how to manage people and scheduling and production and all kinds of cool stuff. And mostly it was about the product because we had a lot of pride in building the best product in the market in that particular industry. One day I'm working in the shop looking out across the parking lot, and I see a guy walking across the parking lot, and he said, there is the first MBA guy hired into the company. He's in the accounting department, and he's going to be the controller of one of our plants, and eventually he became VP of finance and so on. But I thought, MBA, what's an MBA in finance? And I discovered that to an MBA, everything that we were doing were just numbers on a spreadsheet. Now, this is pre-VisiCalc and pre-Excel and all that, but I did an awful lot of work in planning, handwriting on 4-column and sometimes larger accounting spreadsheets, if you will. And so I was familiar with the handwriting version. So when I went to Excel, it was all easy. It was just so much easier than all that stupid handwriting. Anyway, to these guys and to this guy in particular and the others of the ilk that came along, product was just numbers on the spreadsheet that had to do with labor cost, material cost, overhead, income statement, that sort of thing. That's what a product was. Customers were numbers on another spreadsheet that talked about number of customers, number of dealers, number of units sold, times price that we got for it equals sales, and then subtract one from the other, and you get profits and that sort of thing. And profits were a number on a spreadsheet. Everything was a number on a spreadsheet. And things were now run by what we lovingly called bean counters. Another company I worked for where I was kind of euphemistically known as vice president of marketing and application engineering. And then I would often go work out with our CFO, and we would talk about the vice president of design engineering, and Tim would often say he was a bean counter, I was a bean gatherer, and Jack was a bean squanderer. And anyway, so beans pop up often. I prefer coffee beans, but anyway, that's another issue. So I'm thinking about this in relationship to all the problems going on at Boeing lately, and started doing a deep dive. So I wrote a post, and a friend of mine from Southeast Asia put a comment on there about when Boeing changed from being an engineering-driven company to a a bean counter-driven company. And I thought about that. And it actually, there's a comment from the CEO that took over around 2006 who basically said that very thing. We're going to be business oriented now. We're going to be all about profits and Wall Street and financial things. And that's the focus of our company. And yeah, I started thinking about that. I started researching Boeing a lot more, and it really goes back to 1997 when there was a merger, if you will. I love these like merger of equal things. I've seen a few of those too. But anyway, McDonnell Douglas and Boeing merged, and it wound up the combined company was called Boeing, but it was run by the McDonnell Douglas executives who actually brought McDonnell Douglas to failure. And then they decided they could do the same thing to Boeing, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, now hubris runs deep. People with egos always think that they're smarter than their past performance would indicate. Present company probably included in that. But anyway, it goes way back, and let's think about the culture of whatever. So now I'm not managing for like trying to develop employees and getting employees to use their heads and be creative and improve processes and improve the product. I'm not thinking about actually improving the product. I'm thinking about the product as a number, like how many did I get out the door today? That's the important metric. So they probably called the production manager of each airplane plant and said, how many did you get today? And so the production manager knows what's important. How many I got out? Were they right? Were they good? Were they finished? Were they anything? No, but they went out the door so I could call them complete. And that's what we start managing to. And it's like, let's stop back a second and say, where do profits come from? So an accountant would say profits come from sales minus all expenses, and then that's profit. And then you can get into various things like, well, it's profit before taxes and then it's profit after tax, all that kind of mishmash stuff. And it's earnings dollars versus shares. So I know what my earnings per share is, and Wall Street loves that kind of stuff. But where does all that come from? Okay, it all comes from having a product that serves a need in the industry or in the marketplace. We have people, customers. And I don't care if you're selling, ballpoint pens at a local stationery store to an individual that comes in, or if you're selling an airplane to a major airline, that's still a person there who is making a conscious and not always rational purchase decision over what's the best product for my and value for my money spent. But it's about it is developing the people. It's about running good manufacturing processes. It's about building quality, and so I build the best product for the value, for the price. You can't like overbuild, but you have to at least do minimum build. You have to build an airplane where a window doesn't fly out. That kills people. That sort of thing. So it's that kind of thing. And then I have to think about my customers. Serving customers is actually the way we make profits. We serve we serve customers to what they expect and what they need with a quality product. And if it all works out and you price it right, and run a good business, there's where profits come from. You don't build backwards from a spreadsheet and start doing that. And let's think about some of the other things that have happened. Toyota built a heck of a quality system. The Toyota production system was fantastic. People it's copied worldwide. They were putting out quality cars when the American big three was just laughing at them and putting out crap. And until they learned to do. And I remember some of the engineers that were my customers back in the 90s being sent off to school to learn some of these Toyota processes to make the American car better. But they got a business manager as a CEO, and he sort of lost the way, sort of got away from the Toyota production system. And then all of a sudden they started having recalls and problems. It's like, what, Toyota? They shouldn't be doing that. They've got the Toyota production system. They forgot about that. So the business people at Boeing they're managing to Wall Street. Well, fine and good. Wall Street doesn't care about the product. Wall Street, cares just about spreadsheets too. And they forgot that if I don't take care of my basics and uh, take care of the whole chain of my employees, who, to do a good job, my program managers can run a program without the constraints of the business people who say you've got to do it this way, because we need to take some shortcuts. Oh, we have a problem. Well, let's solve a hardware problem with software. Oh, yeah, that always works, right? Um, and hold responsible for that sort of thing. And then production delays, the 787 program at Boeing. I remember being out there when the first ones were rolling off the line late, because of the program management and the business constraints put on engineers and program managers who typically are technical, and that sort of thing. So I'm looking at all this, and quality. Well, quality is so important. Serving the customer is so important. My manufacturing process, Deming, a long time ago when I first got a quality job and I started to study W. Edwards Deming, and some of the other people that gener and even Drucker, and you build things in the system, you build quality in the system, or you take quality out by screwing the system up, and taking shortcuts. And if people know you can take shortcuts, that's not good. People will take shortcuts. People know what the management expects or doesn't expect. So random, but not so random thoughts on what's happened with Boeing and what's, it's a major company. There are only two major big body airline companies left, really. I mean, I know that Russia and China have some companies. They're not viable worldwide yet, but I think there's an opening. People are complaining about Airbus, and Boeing he just keeps tripping all over themselves. Unless they straighten things up, there's going to be a new competitor come in. Maybe Bombardier or Embraer or somebody will decide that. They could start building a little bit bigger. Maybe they could expand to a 737 size body and beat the crap out of Airbus and Boeing. You never know. It could happen. I've seen it happen in many industries. So anyway, pay attention to your knitting. Take care of build your systems in, pay attention to your people, and let your people build in quality, and let your program managers put together a good program, rather than trying to take shortcuts and skimp on things. And serve your customer, serve your people, serve yourself, and then you make a profit. This is Gary. Some thoughts on manufacturing, industrial technology, and leadership. Hopefully you're out there being a good leader and taking care of the business. And I'd like to mention once again my sponsor, longtime sponsor. Really appreciate Inductive Automation. They've had a good product. I've seen them ever since they started and been impressed with the way they go about building their product, and they keep the customer in mind, so far as I've seen up until now. So hopefully they keep on doing. They have a new generation of leadership, and they seem to be really cool people. And so I'm looking forward to another trip out to the Inductive Automation User Conference come September. But anyway, this podcast is brought to you with support from Inductive Automation. Discover a whole new perspective on industrial automation with Ignition, packed with innovative features for the modern control system like unlimited licensing, high-powered tags, mobile-first flexibility, and an intuitive built-in design environment. Ignition supports enterprises of any size or industry. See all Ignition has to offer at inductiveautomation.com. And then check out Ignition for the Cloud, and Ignition Edge Edition. And they just keep improving product and pricing. Check out at inductiveautomation.com. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. Go out and raise a ruckus.